Welcome back, guys, to my channel. My name is Ashlyn. If you're new here, thank you for joining me. So for today's video, I basically wanted to update you guys on my current foundation routine. I haven't uploaded one. It's been over 4 years since I've uploaded a foundation. It's been over 4 years since I've uploaded anything, but I just wanted to do an updated routine on my foundation. Just go over some products that I'm really loving right now. Some of these are household faves for some of you guys, some you may or may not know of, but I just wanted to do an updated routine. So if you care to see, continue watching. So I'm going to start off by moisturizing my face with the Kiel's moisturizer. I believe I mentioned this in my previous video. So I'm just going to add a little bit of it. Like I said before, my skin has now been super dry, and this just adds the right amount of moisture. I don't know why I do that, like whenever I'm moisture, I'm like but this just adds the right amount of moisture. It's not super greasy, even though I do look like a grease ball, but we're going for moisture here. Okay, so, and for primer, my primer of choice right now is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Primer. This adds some good hydration. This is the soft matte. It's hydrating, but it gives me a little bit of mattifying property that I like for the areas that tend to get a little oily sometimes. So I'm just doing 1 pump of that. Now, a trick that I learned from Jackie Aina is to set your primer with translucent powder. So I'm going to go in with Fenty Beauty Hazelnut Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Powder. This is a setting powder, and this is the powder that I do use underneath my eyes, but I'm also going to use a bit of that on the butt end or the back end of my sponge. This is the Sonia Kashuk sponge, and I'm just going to press that into my skin. Pushing it in, and again, you can tell it's just a mattifying primer. What am I saying? No, I mean, you can tell it's just it just takes away all of that oiliness or greasiness that you did see briefly. There we go. So now I'm going to color correct with the Juvia's Place Concealer. This is in the shade number 7. I don't remember, I don't think, it doesn't have the name of the actual concealer, but I think this is the only concealer she does have. But I'm just going to color correct under my eyes. I'm going to correct around here, my little mustache area. This is like a really warm reddish shade, which is perfect for canceling out the darkness that I have. This shade could even almost pass as my shade, like my foundation shade, but we're not going to use that. So I'm going to use that same sponge that I used to apply that powder and just blend this concealer corrector in. And it really does a nice job at canceling those dark spots and dark circles. I have a little 5 o'clock shadow going on right here. And again, like, this could almost pass as my actual foundation shade, but so it's just a little too red and orange for my liking. So how's your day going, guys? What's new with you guys? I think if you guys saw my previous video, I did a video on current updates, what's been going on with me in the last 4 years since I've uploaded a video. And I'm really out here just making sure that I have content for you guys. I'm out here planning. I got my little notebook, you know. I'm out here doing a damn thing. So for foundation, I'm going to be using my Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I'm in the shade Tiramisu. This foundation is almost done, but this has been a favorite of mine since it was released years ago, and I'm so happy that Jackie Aina got a chance to, the opportunity to collab with them and do some shade extensions. That was like really dope of her to be able to have that opportunity. Where's my brushes? Oh. Okay. so I just did 2 pumps, which is probably more than enough. I'm gonna just dab this foundation everywhere. I like to dab the foundation first onto my face, and then I don't like picking it up with a brush or a beauty blender. I don't know, I just feel like there's just so much product put onto the brush, if that makes any sense. Probably doesn't, it's fine. And I'm going to blend out with my trusty Juvia's Place Kabuki foundation brush. This has like been my ride or die for quite some time now, since it was released. And I'm just patting this foundation in. Okay, just patting movements, pushing it in, patting it in. And this foundation is medium to full coverage. With 1 pump, you'll definitely get that medium coverage. I did 2 pumps because this, like I said before, this is what I would usually do if we are doing like full glam. We're going out and, you know, I'm trying to look the best that I can. Make sure you get that chin too. Now, to accompany this Born This Way foundation, I'm going to go in with the Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. This has also been a ride or die staple in my kit, I guess you could say, my personal kit. I'm in the shade Chestnut, so I'm going to use that to do a little bit of highlighting. And I'm just going to apply that directly under the eye, especially like I have hollow eyes. So I'm just going to apply that right there. And the corrector concealer before helps with that hollowness, and I have deep set eyes, so it helps with that. Now I tend to, you know, I don't really drag the concealer down anymore. Like before, you know how they used to kind of do a V shape? I used to do that too. I don't really do that anymore. I just apply it right here, and while I'm blending, I let that, you know, I kind of drag it down while I'm blending. So with my beauty blender. Now I'm just going to apply some down my nose, landing strip down my nose, a little bit on my forehead, and on my chin. So I'm gonna let this concealer dry for a little bit. I feel like when it's a little tacky, it moves where you want it to go, versus when I go into blend it out immediately after applying it, it's still very wet. It tends to sometimes go where you don't want it to go. So I just like to blend out my concealer after it's dried down for a little bit. So in the meantime, while we wait for that to dry, I am going to do my eyebrows, and I will be right back. Okay, so my brows are on now. Now it's time for me to blend out this concealer. It's been sitting long enough now. It's gonna move where I need it to move. So I'm just using my Real Techniques blending sponge, and I'm just gently patting that concealer in. And I'm also slowly bringing it down, like I told you guys I would. And I'm also bringing it onto like the sides of my nose. This is gonna help with a little bit of nose contouring, reverse contour as they would call it. But yeah, so I'm gonna bring this concealer out slightly, not too crazy, not too much, and that's it. See how easy it is to blend it when it dries down a little bit, versus when you first apply it, it's so wet. It's kind of like eyelash glue. You know, with eyelash glue, they always want you to wait a couple seconds before, like 30 seconds to a minute before you apply it. Because when you apply it right after when you put it on right after you apply the glue on, it's just slipping and sliding everywhere, and it's a huge mess. It's not sticking. Almost the same concept with the concealer and letting it dry for a little bit. It's a little tacky. It moves where you want it to move, not where it wants to go. So kudos to Jackie. I'm sure a lot of people know about this already, but kudos to Jackie for putting a few of us on. So that's that. I'm gonna use my trusty old Fenty Beauty Matchstick in the shade Espresso. This has been my go-to ever since its release. And when I contour, on me personally, I like to contour a little higher than where they would say your hollows of your cheeks are. I have like a long face, and I have some cheeks, puffy cheeks. I don't really have prominent cheekbones or anything like that. And I realized that when I was contouring like a little below, because this is where I used to go, like right here, a little below where I put my contour right now, I realized like my face looked longer, my skin looked, I mean my cheeks looked a little droopier. It just wasn't really flattering for me. I didn't like the look. So I realized now when I apply my contour a little higher, it gives me a little bit more of a lifted look. So we're not trying to look saggy or anything like that, honey. All right, now I'm gonna apply this contour all over this forehead. I'm gonna get the cheekbones, not cheekbones, jawline. Gonna get the jawline, the chin, and again, I'm gonna use just a little bit of that contour right here because I can blend it up easier instead of applying the whole thing. Instead of applying it down the entirety of my nose, I just apply a little bit right here and then blend it out with a brush. So I'm going to use a sponge to blend out the contour. I realized with the stick or cream contours, they blend out much easier and better with a sponge versus a brush. Like with the brush, I just feel like it's very harsh. I'm sitting there really pressing and going in on my skin versus the sponge, you just dab lightly and it does the work for you. And when I'm dabbing, I'm also like gently rolling the the sponge up at the same time, just to kind of, again, I'm not bringing it down because I don't want to create that droopy look that I used to have. So I'm just bringing it up. I want lifted. And I'm blending this into my hairline because, ladies, don't forget your hairline, especially if you're wearing like your lace fronts. You definitely want to get that makeup into your hairline so it blends naturally and seamlessly. But also don't forget when you're washing off your makeup to get that hairline as well, because we tend to neglect that area, and then that's why we're also prone to breakouts, especially in the forehead area. I don't break out often, but if I do, I get like a lot. Like right now, there's an unwelcomed visitor right now. Did not pay any taxes. Did not ask if they can come visit. Just showed up at my door like that. All right, so that, oh, my nose. So I'm gonna use an actual brush to blend out my nose contour. I like to use a blending brush. This one in particular is a no-name blending brush. So I'm just gonna, I don't know why I do that. I keep smacking my lips like that. I need to stop, so ghetto. Yeah, so I like to blend it up going into my eyebrow and a little into just like that hollow part of your eye right here, this little socket area. This is definitely gonna help with the snatchness of your nose. And this also helps out blend the front of your brow, especially if you went a little too dark on your brow, so this can soften it up a little bit as well. So I'm gonna bring this contour down. So I want to add a little extra a little more brightness to my eyes. So I'm just going to go in with the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Concealer. There's a lot of Fenty stuff. I mean, her stuff was just A1. She came in and really wasn't playing with us. I'm going to go in the shade 410. This is like a really creamy consistency. So again, I'm just going to apply just a little bit of it. I'm usually in the shade 430 in the foundation and the concealer. So this is just a little brighter and it's more yellow. It's a little brighter than the Chestnut, I think. But this is full coverage as well. It's very creamy. Adds that extra brightness that I like. So just like I did with the Too Faced concealer, I'm going to let this dry for a little bit. Doesn't need to dry as long as the Too Faced because it's not as much foundation, or I'm sorry, as much concealer that I put on. But yeah, I'm just going to let that dry and I'll be right back. So I'm using the same Real Technique sponge, and I'm just gonna blend that and kind of keep it right at where it is. I'm not really gonna do too much spreading it out, blending it out onto the bottom, onto the next to my nose. Why can't I talk? I'm just gonna try to keep it there, maybe bring a little bit to the end of my eye, the other side of my eye. What am I saying? But yeah, just adds a nice finish. It's very flawless. Alright, so I'm gonna continue blending it out. Again, I'm gonna try to keep it focused in that area there. Not really blending it, dragging it down, just trying to keep it directly under the eye, especially where I have that little deep pocket. I have such deep set eyes. Okay, I'm happy with this. I like the way this looks. Just gonna take my foundation brush and just really, I'm not applying any extra foundation on there, but just going in between where the contour highlight would be and just try to blend that out so there's no real harsh lines or lines of demarcation. Alright, so to set under the eyes, I'm going to use again that same Fenty Beauty setting powder we used before. I'm gonna set under my eyes with it, just a little bit, not too much because we don't want the under eye area to be super dry. We still want to keep it somewhat hydrated, but not to the point that it's creasing. Speaking of creases, you want to make sure you blend out any creases under the eye prior to applying that concealer. So I'm just gonna blend out any creases because once you put that powder in, it's there, it ain't going nowhere. All right, so now I'm just pushing that powder. I'm just going to set everywhere that we applied that concealer. And with the very pointy tip of, camera won't focus, very pointy tip, I'm just going to go down the bridge of my nose and set it. Press, press, press. Now to set the rest of my face, I'm going to be using my MAC Studio Fix Powder foundation in the shade NW50. Yes, I know it's foundation, but again, like I said before, coverage. We're going for maximum coverage right now. I'm gonna apply this with the, what is this? The Sonia Kashuk brush. There's no name on it, but Sonia Kashuk has some really good brushes. She has really good products, period. Like, don't sleep on Sonia Kashuk again. So I'm just gonna apply that, pat that in, and just set this foundation. I am loving the way it's looking. Do you guys see this? Do you see this? Let me humble myself real quick. Okay, so now for bronzing, I'm gonna go in with Marena Beauté Poudre Caresse. I'm gonna go with Marena Beauté. I don't know. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but this is a black female-owned brand. She's based out of Sweden, and she has like the best shades for bronzing and contouring, especially for a woman of color. This is in the shade Ebene, which is perfect for me. Right amount of warmth for me. And there's no shimmer. That's another thing that, you know, I had problems finding contour shade for myself, not contour, bronzing shade for myself that wasn't ashy and that did not have shimmer. I don't want all that shimmer on my face. So this was perfect. You know, when I saw it, I purchased it really quick. You know, it did cost a pretty penny to get here, but you know, it was worth it. This is a staple in my makeup artist kit and it's a staple in my personal kit. I have 2 of these. So I'm just going to apply this in on top of that Fenty bronzer or contour shade, and this is just gonna add so much warmth to my face. So to make under my eye just a smidge brighter, I'm not much of a baking kind of girl. I just put that powder in and push it in and let it do its thing. But I'm going to go in with yet another Fenty Beauty product. I'm telling you, like, I really stand for Fenty Beauty. This is another shade of her setting powder, but this is in the shade Honey. Just a little bit more yellow, a little lighter than the Hazelnut shade. I think it's like a shade lighter or a shade or two. I mean, this is like your typical benign banana powder, honestly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna apply a little bit, the tiniest bit, under my eye, just to kind of let it brighten a little bit. Oh, that was too much, goddamn. Brighten up just a little bit more. A little bit of brightness. I'm just using a brush because, again, I don't want to use a sponge and really push it in there, and so it's so bright. So with this brush, it's just a gentle dusting. That's the word. Just a little dusting, darling. Now for blush, Marena Beauté was very, very gracious enough to send me some of her blushes. This was sometime last year, and this is, I mean, I'm super grateful for her for doing that. She sent me 3 of her blushes in the shade Peach Marron, or Marron Peach. Let's see. Which is a very shimmery peach shade, and then the shade Sweet Brown, which is a matte, bright, well, not too bright, yeah, a matte orange shade. I don't think my camera's really giving us the true pigment and the true color of these. And the shade Cardinal, which is like a maroon, dark mauve maroon shade. So for today's look, I'm gonna go with Peach Marron, which is the shimmery peach shade. I feel like it's appropriate for the look we have going on right now. And these blushes, let me tell you, they're super pigmented. Like, this is probably too much. Yeah, you see that? So I'm just going to blend that in. And I'm also blending, I put it right at the apple of my cheeks, and then I blend it back into my contour as well. And for highlighter, I'm gonna go in with the Becca Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Topaz. This is an oldie but a goodie. I remember when Becca was just that brand, like everybody had to have Becca. When Jaclyn Hill came out with her palettes with I have that palette, I have both of them. I have a couple of them, Jaclyn Hill collaboration stuff with Becca, which were really good. But I don't know what happened with Becca. Like, I haven't really heard much of anything. Nothing like really trendy with them. But nonetheless, this is still a hit for me. So, and it's a perfect shade for deeper complexions for us women of color, for us people of color, boys and girls of color. It's the perfect shade. I'm using the Morphe M510. This is my go-to brush for highlighting, and I'm just applying that right at the highest parts of my cheekbone. And I'm just blending it in. Now to line my lips, always, 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 until I find something else that does the trick, MAC Chestnut lip liner. So I'm gonna line my lips with that. And I'm just gonna apply lip gloss. No lipstick today. This is the Milani lip gloss, the Ludicrous lip gloss. I think that's the name of this collection. It's in the shade Teen Spirit, number 130. It's just a nice pinky nude shade. And if y'all know me, some of y'all do, some of y'all getting to know me, I live for a nude lip. I have so many of the same nude colors. Peach nude, brown nude, pink nude, which is my favorite. But I'm just gonna do a lip gloss because I feel like this gloss has enough pigment in it to do what I needed to do. And it's doing exactly what I needed to do. But this is the look. I'm gonna fix my hair and make myself look presentable completely, and I'll be right back. So this is the final look. I went and switched my tops on, you guys, so I can try to be a little, you know, dressed up, I guess. But yeah, so this is what I usually do whenever I'm going out, whether it's out for the night or even if this is day or night for me if I'm going out. But and this is gonna, oh, one thing I forgot to do, I forgot to add setting spray, which is like super important. I really like the Morphe, I need a new one, the continuous setting mist. It smells really nice. It's not really harsh or anything like that, so I'm just gonna spray some of that. Hope that you like this look. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please stay tuned for some more videos from me. I have some really good things coming up for you guys. And thank you for watching. All right, bye. So I'm gonna let that dry as well as 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit as well. Not so, I don't need to. So I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit longer as 1, 2, 3. So like I did with the Too Faced, this 1, 2, 3. This is like your typical Benai banana powder, honestly. Oh! I just made a mess and dropped all of this. Jesus! Okay, don't fret.